Does anyone have a question they would like?
Hi, Stuart. I have a question. Cisa.
Yes, what's that?
At one point,
Wait a second, please, everyone, try and sit still. Go ahead. Go ahead.
at one point in one of your meditations, you mentioned that you hope people encounter obstacles.
Yeah.
But if you just feel happy during the meditations, during the day, I encounter many obstacles.
I mean, if you just feel an open heart and joy and love, just be grateful, That's it. Don't try to analyze it or figure out, I mean, that's the ultimate goal of all this, is to, become somebody who lives with an open heart all the time. So if you experience that in the meditation, just be full of joy and full of gratitude for it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I'm doing it okay. Thanks.
No, I mean, look, there's a lot of struggle because when as I've said many times, it's like drilling for oil. You go through layers and layers of bedrock until you hit a gusher, and it's the same thing. There's so much bedrock, which is kind of a metaphor for the fences, the tensions, the layers of tension that's inside people, that in going through it, it rises to the surface. People can feel anger, upset, but it's not a reason to stop doing your work. It's a reason to keep drilling so that you can hit that gusher of oil, that happiness when the heart really opens. So you can manage to transform those layers of tension and bedrock, into chi, into energy that activates kundalini, into a spiritual life. A lot of times when people live with some kind of misconception that doing deep inner work and doing deep inner meditation should bring about a consistent state of inner peace. And when they confront these dragons that are inside themselves, it scares people, So a lot of people leave the meditation because of that. And it's not to be afraid of, it's to truly understand the job is to transform all that stuff into joy, into love, all that stuff that is making people unhappy and miserable and tense and full of anger and hatred, et cetera, transform it. But in order to transform it, it has to come up. We have to be able to confront the enemy. If we don't confront the enemy, we're not going to win the war. And then by transforming it, the heart opens. I've said it a million times, it's like the old fable in medieval times of the knight slaying the dragon, and then there's the damsel at the pot of gold or the holy grail. That's what it's really the same concept. And the dragon is that resistance that exists inside everybody. On the other side of it is joy, it's love, it's openness, it's depth of, kind of living that everybody is simply worth having in this world, to be a happy person. So Isa, if you feel that in the meditation, you've slain a couple of dragons.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a whole different level to integrate it into daily life, I find. The meditation, okay, but then life, there's a lot of work.
Well, yeah, meditation is about building a system that can be integrated into daily life.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You understand? That's what this is about. This is kind of a training ground here to
mm-hmm.
learn to build a chakra system that when you go into your daily life, you can cross that bridge and bring it with you. But you need to build it inside. And then it organically just goes with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So just to finish that up, in your daily life, when you hit all of these walls of whatever, resistance and tension and all the madness that goes on in the world, let it be a reminder, if it upsets you, let it be a reminder that you have work to do on yourself. It's the universe telling you that. You haven't arrived yet. And don't do a compare and contrast between meditation and it's just a reminder, I got to work deeper in myself. I have to get stronger in myself. And then none of that stuff is negative. It's all teaching you about yourself. Does anyone else have a question? I mean, in this meditation, I always have to get back to basics, because basics are really the key to finally building and crossing that bridge, building chi inside, developing the heart center so that it stays open, quieting the mind, which is an essential element to this practice, getting the mind quiet, getting the training, which will let the mind stay centered in the chakra below the navel, opening the core, the power inside a human being. Then everything follows. Activation of Kundalini, cosmic experiences. The other day you asked about astral travel. All of that comes in the wake of us building the kind of system that makes it possible to experience these things. Does anyone else have a question? I mean, people seem to think that my life is a continuum of perfection. Trust me, every day there are so many things that go wrong. I mean it, but I've spent so many years building a system that it's like music, Handel's Messiah, where they sing about every mountain and every valley and every hill, the crooked made straight and the rough places plain. I mean, that's what happens. The crooked is made straight, the rough places plain, because you have that growth, that foundation inside to be able to do that. And there are always things that go wrong. There are always negative things that happen in life, but they don't rob you of your energy. You can deal with them quietly and simply without getting upset, without allowing, tension and emotion to get involved and anger, and, without throwing away your spiritual life and then dealing with these things consciously. And that makes us open vessels to receive the highest level of spiritual teaching. That's what happens. We're no longer interfering with it. We are open to receive it. And, the level of tension in the earth, it's such, it's like 1% of cosmic experience. And yet people are so embroiled in it and full of it and capable of dealing with it. And yet it's 1%, 5% maximum of the amount of energy that exists in the universe. And building chi and building a chakra system, it smooths out that 5%. We can deal with it and we can allow God to nurture us all the time. Become a child of God, a vehicle for God's energy, spiritual energy. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening, same time. I think it's extraordinary that people are attending these classes who live in Europe. I mean, like, my God, it's 1:30 in the morning, 2:00 in the morning. It's absolutely extraordinary. I mean, it makes me very grateful that I'm doing this. And not only Europe, but the West Coast and all over the United States and Brazil. And it's something. And yet it's a group that's manageable. It kind of stays at the same level. And I think it makes it manageable that every person that attends can be really nurtured. There aren't 6,000 people sitting there, which I would probably run out of the room if I had to confront that. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you, every one of you, for making it possible for me to grow and being my teacher. And there'll be a class, tomorrow evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Stuart.
You know,
Thank you, Stuart.